So the next person, Ashley Villa. Today she's going to share some of her tips on what she does best, the art of negotiating.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming today. I'm not going to cry this year. I still see everyone super excited to meet each other and partner and learn, and I'm so excited and grateful to be a part of that. Today, I'm going to be talking about my top 10 tips, easy ones, for when you're negotiating a deal. I think that negotiating means different things for different people. A lot of people come up to me and they say, wow, you must be great at winning at negotiations. And while that's true, I'm just kidding, kind of. While that's true, what I think the most important thing to notice about negotiations is the fact that a negotiation is really about coming to a compromise with the other party. So it's not really about winning. It's about really making a deal where both sides feel good, so that when you come out of the negotiation, you're first on opposite sides, you're negotiating the deal. The goal is so that when you come out of the negotiation, both sides have signed the contract, you both feel good about partnering and working together, and everyone feels like they're benefiting, and everyone feels good about the relationship. So with that in mind, I'm going to start with my first tip. Begin with the end in mind. I know that it's difficult to think about the end when you're just starting a talk with someone. Let's give an example. How many people here are content creators? And how many people here own like a brand or a business? How many people here like to have fun? Okay, that was just random. I just wanted to make everyone excited. Whether you have a brand, whether you're a talent, whether you work, you're a career woman and you work corporate, you're always making deals. You're always doing deals, whether it's with your coworker, whether it's with a brand, whether it's with a potential business partner, whether it's with a VC, whether you're Cassie and you need investment. There's different things that you need, but all of those involve deals. And so what you need to do when you start a discussion with anyone about a deal, and maybe it's not even like a formal discussion, it's just kind of an open, like sitting next to someone here today, and you're like, oh wow, you're a graphic designer. Oh wow, I'm an accountant. We should barter or something. Even those types of things are deals, So really think about the end terms that you'd like to have in mind. You have to know what you want to get what you want. And what I mean by that is, let's start from the beginning and really think about the terms in the deal that you'd like for your side. Even write them down, because you can't get what you want if you don't know what it is. And so that's really an important part of the first step when you're going into negotiations. And then I know that this might seem obvious, or maybe not even obvious these days, I'm not sure, because a lot of things are done over email. But why don't you set an in-person meeting if you've never met the person? There's a hidden agenda to this as well. Know who you're dealing with. I really like to meet people because I feel like you can sense their energy. You really can tell. When you meet someone immediately, you can tell there's a vibe. You can tell if sometimes you get taken. Lots of people seem trustworthy when they're not. But, meet the person. Do they seem genuine? Are they someone that you'd be compatible with? Do you have the same viewpoints? Are you aligned? It really helps to meet that person in a real meeting. Quick, casual, office meeting, coffee, anything. Maybe even a video chat. Because, sometimes people are shady. And I think that in-person meeting can eliminate a lot of that. Well, working with those people and just cut them out and move on and never talk to them again. So, know your shit. What means come prepared? This is the cool one, you take a picture of me standing. And then this is the one I really mean, come prepared. So what I mean by that is, do your research. If you have a meeting, and even if it's only for 20 minutes before the meeting, just quickly get online and Google them. Look at their LinkedIn, figure out where they went to college, and then maybe go deeper. I mean, for example, if a brand wants to work with Jackie, my client, and then they call me and they're like, so like, tell us about Jackie. What does she do? I'm like, why don't you go online and figure it out? Because I'm like busy right now. But I don't really do that. I'm kidding. I'm joking. I'm totally kidding. I run through and she's amazing. 2018 NAACP winner, like amazing. But you know, if you're gonna want to work with Jackie, maybe you should research her. Like figure out like what she does, like what she likes. Like you can't just go into a meeting expecting someone else to come up with all the solutions. That person is you. And then number 4 is where I see a lot of deals go awry. It's confirming and reconfirming what everyone seems to know. Be clear and be thorough. Because what I see a lot of times with deals that go bad is one side thinks that something's happening, the other side thinks something else is happening, but like actually no one really agrees on anything, but they think they do. So what I always like to do, and this is just a quick tip for when you're, going into these meetings, going to these discussions, say you get off a phone call with a brand that you really want to work with. Say that you're a YouTuber, they offered you a deal. I would send a quick follow-up email right away. Hey, Sally, so nice talking to you on the phone just now. Just wanted to reconfirm everything we talked about. And I would actually like number, do a number bullet point. 1, you're gonna pay me $3,000. Number 2, I'm gonna send you 2 Instagram photos. They're going to be about this. And, number 3, you have usage for those Instagram photos for a month. No paid media. Just, the points of what you had discussed. And then maybe Sally goes, oh, actually, I thought that the usage was forever. I'm like, no, that's not what we said. So never give usage in perpetuity. Everyone never do that. Limit the usage. But I think that with these, back and forth emails, and then do one last confirm email. The longest one, do that last one, just to be clear, so that when everyone goes to contract, if someone's confused, because they're always going to change the contract just a little bit when you get it. They're going to tweak it just in a little bit better way for themselves, or maybe if you write it, you can at least look to that that email, and then everyone agreed. You can even ask them, hey, can you respond, I approve? And that really gives you some leverage in guaranteeing that those were the deal terms. Okay, check the fine print. And what I mean by that is create a contract and then actually read the contract. So let's start with create a contract. So I know that legal can be very expensive sometimes, all the time. Legal is very expensive. But sometimes what you can do is have a lawyer or maybe find a contract that you've seen and make it your template. I think it really helps a lot of content creators, especially starting out, to at least have this like 1-page deal memo that at least then if I insert a couple things, change the fee, like this can be my standard form. But usually these days, the brand is going to want to make the contract. But say you're doing something else. Say you're launching an ice cream company. I would actually have my own lawyer, when all possible, write the contract. Always have your side write the contract, because when you do that, it's just so much better, because then you really get everything that you wanted. That's the base for where the negotiation begins. So when you can, have your own lawyer do the contract. And then actually read the contract. I know this sounds crazy. And even before I went to law school, I remember reading contracts, whenever, you come across them all the time. You throw an event for your college, UCLA, and the company sends you like a vendor form. You're like, oh my God, it's like a 3-page form. I can't read that. Actually, you can. Just read it line by line and maybe read it out loud. And some things you won't understand. Maybe you don't understand representations and warranties. Maybe you don't understand indemnification or choice of law. But I think that even reading it will make you more comfortable. And then guess what? If you don't understand something, ask the other side. Say, I noticed that you wrote this in. I just don't really understand what that sentence means. Because you know what? End of the day, what's going to happen is if anything ever does go to litigation, which Hopefully it never does. That's the worst. If it ever did go to a judge, the judge is actually going to read that contract on face value herself. Notice I said herself. Herself or himself. Okay, sorry, Cole. Sorry, Drew, there's boys here too. Boys support women as well. She's gonna actually read it at face value. You know what? So maybe you should really define what an Instagram story is. You know, an Instagram story is 3 to 4 photo and or video frames on the Instagram platform, in the Instagram story section. You know, because I guarantee you that that judge is gonna say, stories, Instagram, they're not gonna know what it is. So you'd have to explain it in the contract. That's what you would do. So don't be afraid to ask questions when you're reading contracts, and just really try to understand what they mean. There's nothing wrong with that. Even sometimes people, you know, make acronyms for things like, I got an email, it was like, we're gonna figure out if we're gonna allow Jen to be pop. And I said, okay, I've been a lawyer for quite a few years, like, what's pop? I just asked. I emailed back, what's pop? I'm not embarrassed. It's a real question. You know, I don't know what pop is. Well, apparently it's pay or play, which is a, you know, legal term that we use, but I couldn't have known your acronym, and I'm not gonna mosey on along and pretend like I do when you just made that up. You know, so then I asked, and then I knew. Okay, and number 6 is aim high. And what I mean by that is just, when you're in negotiations, just go a little harder. You don't want to go too hard. Don't be this aggressive person that no one wants to deal with, because remember what I said at the beginning, you're going to have to work with them at the end. So if you're going to be really unreasonable, they're not going to be happy with that. So just whatever you want, just go like a little more than what you want, because you might just end up either at what you want or below it. Studies have shown that people who are slightly more aggressive end up getting the deals that they like just a little more. So, you know, if you want someone to pay you $10,000, they've offered 5, I would go in at like 12. And then you'd probably end at 10. Granted, your content or your deal or your business is worth that, you know, so you have to be reasonable when you're countering these negotiations. And also, I would say too, don't be afraid to get a little creative. Like, say you're bartering with another party for services. I think that we should do that more. Like, there's so many services out there that other people can do. I mean, yoga instructors and Pilates instructors do it all the time. You know, I'll teach you one time and then you teach me one time. Like, we could do that more in business. Get a little creative. Maybe there's something else that you could do outside of what they had initially asked that can add value in different ways. But you have to be creative to get what you want sometimes, because maybe you don't have the money to pay them the fee, but maybe you can offer something else that's of value to them. And number 7 is always stay cool. It's not always easy. You know, sometimes you get an email and you're like, not happy with that. I didn't like to see that. But I have a quote from Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and she said, reacting in anger or annoyance will not advance one's ability to persuade. Just because you got angry isn't going to make the person do what you want them to do, you know? Business is business, and, you know, business is about making money. So just because you say, no, I want more money, send it over, you know, they're not going to want to do that when you react that way. So a little tip that I do, why are you guys laughing? Okay, I'm watching you. Jackie. What I like to do is, you know, when you get that harsh email that isn't what you exactly wanted to see, maybe on your notes on your phone, just write out what you really wanted to say. Write it all out. Get it all out there. Just like push it away. Then go through your email that you wrote and actually just pull out facts. Just pull out the facts. If your entire email was made up of your emotions and how you felt and you really thought this and that, no one cares, okay? No one cares. Take out the facts of the email, put them into little bullet points, and then you can make your case. But, you know, I think that as women, too, we get so emotionally involved sometimes in deals. Like, we want them to happen, especially a lot of women who start their own businesses. Like, that's your world, that's your life, you know? But it's not everyone else's. It's just yours because that's what you made it. So, end of the day, just really go into facts. Facts are what wins. So, if you use that tip, You can more easily harness facts, and that's how it's a better way to compromise better in negotiations. Okay, if needed, marinate. And what I mean by that is, if you can't decide, revisit it later. Some of my best decisions mostly all the best decisions are never made like that. Sometimes they are because you felt it in your gut and you knew it was right. But a lot of times, you get an offer and you're not sure. So you get this offer, you think it's good. I mean, this happens with my clients a lot. Like a brand will send a deal, and then I'll think, I can't tell if this is a good offer. Sometimes you just don't know. So what I usually do is I just let it sit. And, also studies have shown that even when you're not thinking about something and you're not focusing on it and you're not, internally like considering what that question is, your brain and your mind is actually still processing it, even if you're not directly harnessing your energy on it. So it's strange because sometimes, I'll get this deal, I won't know, and then 2 days later, I'm like, yeah, it's a good deal, okay. Email back right away, we'll do it. Or, 3 days later, still not feeling good. Yeah, we're not gonna do it, So just, you can let it go. Things don't have to be said right away. And also, too, if someone's pushing you to be that fast and make a decision that quickly, I would be on high alert as to why that is. And then this is back to the first thing that I talked about, which is hold your bottom line. We had initially talked at the very start of the discussion about the fact that you should know what you want, right? So if you know what you want, write it down, and then just hold on that. Because end of the day, you need to know when to walk away. Some of the best deals that I've done are the ones that I never did. Like, the best deals in your life are the ones that you decided not to do, and then this other amazing opportunity that you wanted much more, came into your lap, A lot of times when you push things, they don't feel right, they're too hard. Just let it go, because look at that those material terms that you had initially wanted. Are we so far away from that I'm actually not getting what I want? Because a lot of times that happens. It's called deal fatigue. And they just keep pushing you and so many emails and follow-ups. By the time it's over, you just want to get it done and you're over it. So, go back to that initial bottom line that you had and ask yourself, are we still close to that? Because if you're not, you need to take a reconsideration with your life. Relook at your life. I'm just kidding. And then number 10 is trust your intuition. Just listen to your gut. It's your first line of defense. It really is. Because, again, you'll have to defend yourself if you get sued. So it's better just to start from the beginning with your first line of defense, which is if you meet someone in that meeting, or you're on the phone with someone and just something doesn't seem right, you're about to go on tour, and you're the makeup artist for the tour. But someone, it just doesn't feel right. Someone is ignoring your phone calls, or, someone isn't exactly doing the things that they said they were going to do and promised. Just trust your gut and know that maybe that isn't the right deal, or just walk away from it altogether. Because sometimes it might seem great at first, but it ends up not being what you thought at all, even after the deal's closed. Because remember, after deals close, both sides need to be performed. So if you felt like the other person wasn't going to be great, you need to move on. So those are my tips, and I'm going to do 1 or 2 questions now. Does anyone have a question?
Hi, I'm Carrie.
Well, what's your name?
Oh, Carrie.
Okay.
So I do marketing for a beauty startup right now. So I do content. I used to do social, and I used to manage the entire marketing all of last year. So
Cool.
First and foremost, thank you for having this event and bringing us all together. And my question for you is, what did you do before starting your agency and this foundation?
This is such an important question, because that was a lot of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of things. I think, I went to UCLA. I actually got a major in psychology and a minor in global studies. I don't even know if global studies is still a minor. It's commonly known now that there's, globalization's a real thing. My whole major was about how globalization is happening, which like crazy. Like, I don't know what I was studying for 4 years, but pretty much useless to what I do now, except maybe some of the psychology stuff I still like use and think about, just like some of the studies I learned about. But after I did that, I actually went to law school. And honestly, law school was the hardest and I don't want to say worst, but it was a bad time. It was a really hard time, really hard time. I was super poor. I was studying 15 hours a day, and then the bar, I was studying like 18 hours a day to pass the bar. But, I learned a lot of stuff in law school. And I thought that I wanted to be a trademark attorney, but I did that for a little bit and realized I really couldn't do law firm life. That's a whole different discussion, but law firm life is so difficult, It's a different environment, a very corporate environment that I did for a couple years, but then, and I got the experience, and then I ended up going to work at Lionsgate, a film studio, and I was working in corporate there, and then I worked at another place called Sierra Affinity. I don't know, is Virginia here? Virginia! That's my mentor, Virginia, who taught me everything I know about contracts. Like, Virginia literally would let me redline contracts, and then she would just tell me everything I did wrong. Everything. And that was a lot of things all the time, because I hadn't learned how to pay attention to details very well. But she was so patient. Thank you, Virginia, for changing my life. My first female mentor I ever had in my entire life was Virginia. I tried to get one for quite a long time, but no one really wanted to get lunch with me. So this is going to change now, hopefully. But then after that, after I worked at Sierra Affinity, I ended up working at a place called Style Hall, which is a multi-channel network for digital media and YouTubers. And when I was doing that, I was also managing Gen Im on the side. But they knew I was doing it on the side. And I was also a lawyer to a lot of different YouTubers on the side as well. So then when I left Style Hall, a lot of people ask, how did you make the jump to like own your own business and be a CEO? It wasn't really a jump because I already had like a lot of relationships that I knew I could count on in this next venture, which was what we could now call Rare Global, which is my management company. We have an amazing team, and I'm mostly a manager, but still do all my legal deals for my clients because I can't let that go yet. I'm going to let it go soon, I hope, because it's a lot of work. But I love deals, and I love like churning deals and making money. So that's where I am now. And yeah, did I answer your question? It's a progress. And the main thing is? You have to get experience. No matter what it is. If you're like doing photocopies, like get the experience, because you're going to be around cool people who might not making photocopies, but they'll be doing other things. And you can just kind of like get that info. Being an intern, like I learned so much from being an intern. And just you can't just say, I hear a lot, I want to be an entrepreneur. Well, what's your experience? What have you done to become an entrepreneur? You can't just become an entrepreneur. You need to have done things and gained experience and work experience and relationships. So really, you just need to do all that first. And that's why that's a great question, because with this entire path is what has led me now to my dream job, and I'm so happy with what I'm doing. But it took a long time. I look young, but I'm not that young. Thank you, everyone, and see you later. We'll talk. Bye.